Hello Jones family, Brad Phillips here with Puppy Steps Training. Today we're going to be doing Willow's demonstration. We are just super excited to send her to you. She's just an awesome dog. Very, very personable, loves affection, loves to interact with you. I think you guys are just going to really enjoy her. And she's been super great to train, just very, very good. So I'm excited to show you this in this demo. But before we get started, just a couple reminders. First and foremost, still a puppy. So there is going to be a lot of this growing, a lot of maturing. There will be times that she tests the water and wants to see kind of what your reaction is. And so in order for all of this training to transition over, there has to be two things: consistency and management. So I want to dive into those just a little bit more. First with the consistency. So Willow knows the word okay. She knows that means she's done a behavior correctly. It releases her from a stay, and that some type of reward is coming. So we do rely very heavily on food at this early stage, but you can start to wean that. We also use affection and toys as a reward, and so that way you don't always have to have food on you. But at this stage you really want a high praise, high value reward. Make it so that she wants to continue to do it and she builds this relationship with you, and you want to build that relationship based on you being the leader. And so that's also why we're not just a positive approach training. We're a balanced dog training system. And so we do correct our dogs. We have to give them that necessary information so that they know what they can and can't do. So when we correct Willow, we use the word no or nope. I do treat that somewhat like a misdemeanor felony type of deal. So regardless if she does something wrong, she's going to get corrected. However, the severity of the correction depends on the behavior. So if I put her in a stay and she broke, I would just quickly say no, and I would step towards her and have her do it again. Whereas if she tried to jump up on me or tried to steal food, I'm going to adjust my voice as well as my body language, and I'm going to be a lot more firm in the way that I present that command. And that way, you're giving them that information. They read those two factors very well: your voice fluctuation and your body language. We do have one type of physical correction, and that's just a leash correction. It's just 2 pops on the leash. You're not trying to, hurt her by any means or yank her around. The point of that, those 2 pops, is so that you can get her attention back and then change the behavior. So once again, you're not trying to, physically force your dog to do something. We want that training, everything for her to do just out of respect for you, and we don't want to have to ever physically dominate our dog. We want this a mutually beneficial relationship. So make sure you're consistent and rewarding and correcting. The other side of things is management, and I'm going to go into that throughout the program. There's a couple things where management is very critical, and what that is basically maintaining control of your dog, especially when they're young. Making sure that they don't really have these opportunities to really act out and get themselves in trouble. And so for an example there, when you're transitioning this house training, you can't give her full access of your house. You have to keep her under 100% supervision, and that's managing her. If you don't manage her, she might slip around the corner and have an accident. And if you don't see it, there's nothing you can do. And then maybe she learns that, hey, I can do that all the time, and she'll slip out of sight to go to the bathroom. And so by giving her 100% supervision, you're making it so she doesn't have the opportunity to do that. Or, if you're outside, if you're in the front yard and it's not fenced, and you don't have a leash on her, what's stopping her from thinking, I'm going to go chase the neighbor's cat? Because at that point, if she decides to do that, you have no control. You can't stop her and immediately give her a good correction and then teach her that necessary information. Instead, she can go have a blast, and then you got to go chase her down. And so by managing, you're preventing these things from happening, preventing the bad habits from getting started. So like I said, I'll touch base on that a little bit throughout the program. But I'd just like to cover those right off the bat. Once again, all of this that I'm going to say is probably pretty repetitive. You guys have had the manual, you've had a dog from us, and so it's pretty similar. There are a few things that have changed, so make sure you pay attention here. But before we get her out, there's one last thing I'd like to talk about, and that is our socialization part of the program. That's the initial 2 weeks that we do, and then we continue that throughout the program. It's just not as intense as those initial 2 weeks. So during that time, we're just trying to get exposure to things that may, make your dog uncomfortable. But what we're doing is really just trying to see if there's any anxiety, timid, or aggressive behaviors. And so we can really build confidence during this phase and help them understand that, different objects are not going to hurt them, or different sounds or animals or people. And so lots of exposure. When we do that, we really focus on engagement. If there's something that may seem uncomfortable or really distracting to them, like I would call Willow over, I'd have her sit in front of me and I would just jackpot reward her. Okay, good girl, good girl. And you know, I'm just trying to build that confidence and make it so whatever was a little bit uncomfortable is now background noise, and she can build confidence in that. So you may have to do that a little bit at your home. There's going to be new things, as well as this transition is just super stressful. So remember, expect the manners that we're going to go over, but make sure that you don't push her too hard on the commands and walking and things like that. You really want to make her feel comfortable and build this relationship with her. So with that, I am going to get her out now. I'm going to grab a leash here. The first thing that you're going to see is her manners. When I let her out of this crate, I do expect her to hold a stay. Should be an automatic behavior. I shouldn't have to tell her anything. However, if she did break because she is a puppy, she might test the water. I might simply close the door, lift up my leg and block her. If she was really persistent on pushing her way out, then I might actually tell her no. But I'm not ever going to ask her to stay. That should just become automatic. So. Okay, good girl. So I'm going to hook a leash on her here. Now, I'll show you the doorway aspect here in a little bit. She thought about ringing the bells. If she does ring the bells, that's when I'll show you and we'll go outside. But now I want to talk about her greeting, which is what she just did. Anytime I come home from work or I call her over, I expect her to do this greeting where she sits down. If she lays down, that's fine too. But I want her in control, I want her planted, and so that does a couple things. One, it's a replacement behavior for jumping, and two, it gives her eye contact. And so once I have her eye contact, I know that I have her attention. And so anytime she's really hyped up, like when you just come home from something or you call her over, I wait for her to be in control and sit at my feet before I give her any attention. Good girl, huh? Yeah, that's a good girl. So now, her mealtime manners. So when I feed her, I do expect her to hold a sit stay. Once again, if she lays down, I'm fine with that because she's going to remain planted. And so we'll sit her up first. Now, I expect her to hold a sit stay, so I'm just going to ask her to stay. Okay, good girl. Okay. So I'm looking for her to look to me for permission to eat. That's one of those leadership qualities. You know, if you think about a pack mentality, the alpha or the leader always controls the food, tells them when they can eat and what they can eat. Good girl. She's a very slow eater. She likes to take it like one at a time. But I do like to spend some time just, some aggression prevention stuff, handling her when she eats, sticking my hand down in her food bowl, taking it away, little things like that, just to make sure that she's not going to have any aggressive tendencies. I can also hand feed her, making sure that she's going to have a soft mouth and not bite me. I do this a lot with my kids, just to make sure, once again, that there's no aggression or really resource guarding. It happens more with kids than it does adults, and so I like to make that habit. Good girl. Now, just going along with that, we spend a lot of time just handling her in general, making sure that she's comfortable with me petting her, touching her paws, her mouth, her ears. Just want to make sure that once again, there's no type of aggression there. And brushing, of course, is going to be a huge thing. And so, yeah. Good girl. We also clip their nails. I just want to make sure that they're very comfortable with being handled and not going to get defensive at all. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Good girl. We do this also when they have, things that maybe are high value or toys, bully sticks or toys, anything like that. I'm not going to give her that bully stick yet because then she'll get a little distracted. You want to do it? Want to what? Want to go? No, you don't want to play now? Huh? Come on. So we use toys quite a bit, both as a reward as well as just to really build that toy drive. I also use them in preventing aggressive behaviors. And mainly they're behaviors that are mistaken for aggression, and it's with kids a lot. Kids are like the greatest thing to a dog. They're like a giant squeaky toy. They run, they squeal, and your dog just wants to play, but sometimes they can get a little too rough. They end up knocking a child over, or grabbing a pant leg or an arm, things that you don't want to happen. And so a toy can create a barrier. Instead of going for a pant leg, she'll go for the toy, or an arm or anything like that. She'll go for that toy instead. And then if you get someone that's maybe a little bit nervous around dogs, isn't quite as comfortable, they can then throw the toy and direct her away, and it just prevents any accidents from happening. Yeah, you go, girl. She does love to play. Has a great toy drive. We have taught her, when we play, that she can't take the toy and run away. Go get it. Go get it. Come on. Come on. Good block. Now, we've also taught her that when we play, I can take the toy away at any time, that she can't wrestle it away from me and get away with it. And so we've taught her that drop it command. And so when she brings it over, you can see generally she'll drop it before I even ask for it. We'll grab something a hair smaller here. Come on, this lamb jump. So when I do ask her, I can either, put my hand on it, drop it, and expect her just to physically give it up. Good girl. Go get it, come on. Or I can have her spit it out onto the ground and just tell her, Willow, drop it. Drop it. Okay, good girl. And I want her to leave it on the ground and look up at me. Usually once you give them food, they're no longer interested in the toy. So that's why when I'm playing with her, I won't ever use food on me. It's just the toy, that's the reward. Because you can see now she's like, maybe I'll go get it. Or she'll touch it and come back like this and expect food. So when you're playing with her, don't use food. But do expect her to drop it when asked. And so now I'm going to switch to a little bit higher value here. Use a bully stick, give her that to chew on. And once she has a hold of it here, Willow, drop it. Okay, good girl. And I'm going to wait for her to physically release it, look up at me. And so even like this, I can have my hand on it while she has it. One, this is making sure that she's not going to get a little bit of that resource guarding going on. But also if I ask her to, I'm going to let her bite it here, drop it, and I can just take it away. Good girl. When I have something, once again, like high value, where she spits it out on the ground, I'm going to replace it or give her a treat that's also high value, so that it's still rewarding for her to release something she really wants. That's a good girl. I've also, once again, just taught her to be very gentle when taking things from you. So whether that's a bully stick or a treat, if she does get a little, just hyper and wants to grab the food, you can just pull it back and tell her gently, and expect her to be very cautious when she takes it. Should always use those lips and that tongue. I also always give her the treat in the palm of my hand. That way, there's just less for her to grab. She can't grab my whole hand or my fingers. Where, give it to her between your thumb and forefinger, you're kind of asking her to come over the top. And then if she did lunge, it's just a natural reaction to pull your fist back. When I give her a treat, I do expect all four paws on the ground. And so you can use that gently command for that as well. If she starts to lunge up. So, yeah. Let's see now. The next two manners are ones that you definitely need to set a precedence with. You have to teach her right off the bat that you mean the same things as I do. That you expect the same things that I do. And so the first one would be chewing. So she is teething right now. When I look, she's lost her front teeth. And a couple of them. She still has a few more to lose, plus her canines, and then she is cutting molars. So chewing is a behavior that you can't escape. She has to chew. And if you don't give her necessary things to chew on, she's going to find something to chew on. And if you don't teach her what she's not allowed or what she is allowed to chew on, she's just going to chew on anything that she can find. So we teach this with basically avoiding and replacing. If you can avoid giving her free access to toys, to shoes, to anything that you don't want chewed up, that's always going to be the best way to manage it. However, it's not always possible in your house. There's always something that she has access to. And so these first couple weeks as she's transitioning to your home, make sure that you replace. And so if she went up and she wanted to, well, she's wanting to chew on the leash, I would tell her no. And I would replace it with something that she can chew on. Generally, I like to match texture. And so the bully stick's high enough value that it can basically replace anything. But if I didn't have a bully stick and she started wanting to chew on her leash, I'd replace it with a rope. Or if she wanted to chew on something soft like a soft bed or a pillow, I would tell her no, and I'd replace it with something like a plush toy. If she wants to chew on something hard like a table leg, something like that, replace it with a hard toy or a bully stick. And so by doing that, you're teaching her what she's allowed to chew on and what she's not. Boredom also causes chewing. Boredom actually causes all destructive behaviors. And so a couple ways to combat that. First and foremost, exercise. Giving her that exercise is going to lessen that destructive behavior drive, as you will. So digging, chewing, barking, all that stuff. But also, if you have like a downtime, she's hanging out with the family or watching a show or just relaxing, reading a book, anything like that, she can get bored and then she's going to go find something to chew on. So instead, just give her something to chew on. The rule there, if I give her something to chew on though, as soon as she leaves it, I take it away. That way she doesn't have just this unlimited access to her own things. Because if she does, she's going to get bored with her own toys and try and find something new. So you can rotate toys, keep that novelty effect. So just be prepared for that. Know that she's going to chew. Have plenty of things for her to chew on that you can rotate out and keep her mind occupied as well. Having things that will mentally stimulate her will go a long way. So now the last matter is her jumping. This has been the one that we've really had to work through with Willow. She's was a very, very jumpy dog. Usually it's always been first thing in the morning. I get her out of the kennel and she's just super excited and she's bouncing around, and every once in a while she'll put paws on me. And so we have taught her the command off, and that's whether she jumps up on me, she jumps up on a couch, whatever it is, I tell her off and I expect her to get right down. Now this is a time that if I was on a walk and she started kind of lunging or jumping, whether it's towards another dog or towards somebody, I would give her a leash correction. 2 pops, tell her off, expect her to get down. Once again, you're not trying to yank her around. Those 2 pops gain her attention, and then you can give her, no. So I'm going to take this off for a minute, where she's really wanting to chew on it. But 2 pops gain her attention, and then change the behavior. Yeah. That's also why that greeting is so important, is because it fights that jumping. Now, if I were outside, and she was playing, and she came running up, and I thought, oh man, she's going to jump on me. It's so important that you never step backwards. As soon as you step back, it's a game. You're basically encouraging her to jump. Instead, I'll always step into her. That way I restrict the space. It'll throw off her timing. I'm also standing my ground. And then if she did jump, it's putting her off balance. And I'm going to bring my knee up into her. We call it knocking her off of her gait. So bring my knee up into her chest, tell her off. It scares some people because you do want to knock your dog onto their back, because that puts them in a submissive posture, and it teaches them, hey, I'm the leader, this is unacceptable. Now, if she's really wanting to jump on one of your kids, once again, that's where I see a lot of these behaviors is towards kids, because they have to develop that respect for them. What I do is I hook that leash on her, and I will have the kid call her over. I'll walk up, giving her a loose leash so she has the ability to jump, but if she does jump, quickly 2 pops, I turn around and walk away. Once again, telling her off when you do so. Then I'll turn around and I'll do the exact same thing. And I'll do this, 3, 4, 5 times, however many times it takes, until she approaches and sits in front of your child. As soon as she sits, then it's high praise, high reward. Good girl, petting her. Making it very excited, very exciting, and that she understands that, hey, okay, this is the behavior. I get praised if I go ahead and sit and present that greeting. And so that way, she can also develop a little bit of respect for your children. She's been doing, once again, very, very well with all this. Just jumping was our main one that we had to work on. And it seemed like it was when she was really, really excited that every once in a while she would still do it. So just be aware of that. But other than that, I believe that that's all of our manners. So we're going to hop right into our obedience commands. And the first two we're going to talk about are watch me and come. These are two of our commands that we teach right off the bat. And they kind of go hand in hand. The first one, of course, is just to get eye contact, that watch me command. You can see I say that and she lifts her head up. When I do that, once again, I just wait for that eye contact. If she's really watching my hand, I can bring it up to my face, but we've been practicing even putting food right in front of her. Just adding different distractions really to build this up, because this is a command that if you can get her eye contact, once again, you can get 100% of her attention, because dogs have a single track mind. Whatever they're looking at, that's what they're focused on. Watch me. Okay, good girl. See that? Just as simple as that. She looked up, made eye contact, and I'll reward her. I'm going to take out 2 treats here. And I can put this right in front of her nose here. Watch me. Watch me. Okay, good girl. And so I just gave her a second where she was super focused on that. I gave her one more time. If she was really focused on it, no. Watch me. Okay, good girl. I would bring that up to my eyes. We've also started doing a lot of this name recognition, and so we do it very similar. I'll distract her, say her name, have her look at me, give her a treat. And so she is getting that name recognition down. And I will say her name very similar at this point, especially during this name recognition. If I can get her to look down. Willow. Willow. Okay, good girl. It's again waiting for complete eye contact. Now, her name, though, after we do this name recognition, then it becomes basically an informal use, because I'm not going to treat her every time I say her name. Instead, I want her still to focus on me, and then I can give her another command or something like that. But I still expect her to make eye contact when I say her name. But when I use watch me, when I'm practicing that, I'm very heavy on the treats, because I want to make sure that that's the formal use of it. Anytime I use that, I expect respect. So, her name also goes hand in hand with our recall command. I will use her name when I call her to come. And that way I get her attention, then deliver the come command. That's just a greater percentage of success, if that makes sense. Now, the recall command is one that I see a lot of people break, and it kind of drives me crazy, because for me, the come command is your most important command. If I could only have one, it would be that recall, making sure that I can get my dog back to me and in control. So we kind of build a safety net around this command. We place a lot of rules around it. My trainers are very strict with it. And the first rule is I never use it inside, because the way people break it is by overuse or using it in a place that it's not really necessary, and then it becomes a calloused over command, and so the dog doesn't have any respect for that, because it's, you know, Willow, come here so you're out of the way, the vacuum or anything like that. I'm kind of cautious, you can tell, from saying that command, because once again, I want to make sure that it is very built up, and she's going to respond every time. And so if I am in the house and I need her out of the way, or I just want her to come to me, I'll use high-pitched noises, you know, a whistle, a snap. You can see she responds to that. Come here, something like that. All those things really pique her interest, and she's going to come to you. So, for an example, I'm going to pull her. Well, I guess I can just back up. I'll just, Willow, come here. Good girl. You can see she jumps, comes right over to me. And so that's your informal use of your come command. I still treat her for that when I have treats available, because I want that to be in place so that, you know, if I don't need to call her to come, like I'm in control, I can use that and still get her over to me and preserve the integrity of that come command. With the come command, I also practice it a ton. I start off with a long lead, and we'll go for a walk or, you know, to the park, anything like that, and she's hooked on that 20 to 50 foot lead. And I just let her explore. It's time for her to be a dog. She can sniff, she can play. But then every minute or two, I'll call her to come using that come command. Good girl, good girl, good girl. And I'll just give her a treat and let her go again. So it's super positive. She's returning to me. She's checking in. She's staying close. But then she's also, okay, outside. And now I'm going to hurry and take her outside to the bathroom. I figured she had to go, so I'm going to have her wait at the doorway. Okay. Okay, good girl. So once again, having her wait at the doorway as well. So, let's see, with that come command. So going along with practicing it a lot, after she's doing really well with returning to you on the long lead, then I would take her to an area where you can maintain some control, so a fenced-in backyard, fenced-in park, and then I'd let her off leash. And I would do the same thing, let her be a dog, let her run around, but every minute or two, call her to you just to give her a treat and let her go again. If she starts to regress, put her right back on that long lead. And I see about the long lead, she tries to run the other way or refuse, I can give her a quick tug, start to reel her in. The first time that you take her in a really new environment, I would start out on that long lead. Really build this command up, make sure that it's solid and you have that integrity there. When I do call her to come, I'm going to have her sit here. I'm going to break my one rule of in the house because I want you to see how I call her to come. Anytime, especially if the dog's starting to refuse a little bit, I want to get really animated or really inviting. And I'll go, Willow, come! Okay, good girl. And so my voice gets higher. I bend down. It just becomes more inviting. So she has done very, very well with her recall. Huh. Yeah, you're a good girl. So now I'll show you our hand signals for sit down and stay. They haven't changed. So sit is that scoop over the nose. Down, I'll take my hand flat. And then stay is a stop sign. Now she's really funny that when I put her down, because we built that up to where I should just be here. Oh, good girl. Okay, good girl. Every once in a while, she'll try and like lick my fingers or stick my fingers in her mouth. Even though she knows, like I've got to the point where the treat's always in my other hand, but she'll still sometimes lick my hand. So just kind of a funny little quirk that I don't mind as long as she responds. So I'm going to get her up here for a second. Sit. Down. Stay. Notice those elbows, she was kind of hovering, so I am going to wait for those elbows to hit just to make sure that she's not going to pop up. Now, of course, we do have a sit and a down stay. If she's in a down, she's not allowed to come up. However, if I put her in a sit stay, I don't care if she lays down. Nope. Now, if she gets like that, sometimes talking, sit. Down. Stay. Okay, good girl, good girl. So sometimes talking is a really big distraction. Like that, she kind of started to hesitate, so I wanted to just get a short one in there just to make sure that I don't burn down a command. Sit. And she's kind of, I don't know why she's doing that, but down. Okay, good girl. Also notice there, like where she took a little bit longer, instead of repeating the command, I'm just gonna go down a little bit further. Trying to, help her understand what I want. Maybe my body language is confusing. If I'm hovering too much, I put myself in more of like a dominant position, and I don't want to intimidate her. I want it all to be built on respect, and I want her to enjoy training. I don't want to break her down at all. Good girl, huh? You a good girl? You sit. Okay, good girl, good girl. Sit. I think you're still there. Okay, good girl, good girl. And so, if she seems like you correct her, and she sometimes, especially I see it more in female dogs, but they'll seem a little bit put out by it, then I want to be I'll do some quick commands like that just to really build some confidence there and make sure that it's enjoyable. Come here. Good girl. Come here. Come here, come here, come here. Okay, good girl, good girl, good girl. Come here. Sit. Down. Down. Stay. Okay, good girl, good girl. So then if I put her in a sit stay, sit, stay. Add a little distraction here. Okay, good girl, good girl. So she has really good stays. Sometimes if you push her too much or your training session's a little too long, she'll get a little slower, kind of want to lay down or even stop working. And so that's a good indication that you need to keep your training sessions short or even stop while you're ahead. Do a positive, a quick behavior, a quick command, be positive, and then be done for a little while. So we can get through this. I'm going to keep moving right along, and I'm going to show you the next two commands, which are go to bed and crate. And so I can just tell her, Willow, go to bed. Good girl. I don't care what position she's in, as long as all four paws are on the bed. And she is expected to stay until released. Okay, good girl. I stopped because I thought that she might break there, but I'm glad she didn't, and so I just waited to make sure that she knew what she was doing. She was focused on me. Go to bed. Good girl. Good girl. Very similar to the go to bed command. Okay. Okay, good girl. Crate. I can tell her crate. Oh. She hesitated a little bit there. I just tapped on the top. She goes in. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Willow. Crate. Good girl. Okay, good girl. Okay. I'll do one more here. Willow, crate. Good girl. Notice both of these commands. Okay, I give her the treat when she's in or on the bed. And then being released is a reward in itself. Good girl. Good girl. Now, the last command here, I'm going to put her up on her bed for a minute. Willow, go to bed. And I'm going to drop this treat here on the floor where she can see it. Willow. Now I'm going to move it just a hair further away, and I'm doing a leave it command, so I'm going to say, okay, good girl, leave it. And I expect her just like that. Nope, leave it. Good girl. Now, we do this with food as well as, on our walks. There's a lot of things on the side of the road you don't want them to get. So leave it. Good girl. Good girl. So when we do it in here with food, especially treats like this, I'm going to reward her when I say that, and she does stop and look up at me, because then she's putting her focus back on me instead of whatever I'm asking her to leave. Now, even when I work on this with food, she's never allowed to go and get it. Leave it means leave it permanently. So I'm going to walk past here. Come on. Leave it. And I can give her just a little bit of pressure. No, leave it. No. So I'm making this really hard. Okay, good girl, good girl. When she looks up at me, high value reward. So this is a really hard exercise to do with it. Nope, leave it. Good girl. But I'll keep doing this until she just completely ignores it. When we do it on the road, it's a lot easier. See, we've had a lot of dead raccoons lately, and so we'll walk past, I'll tell her leave it, and as soon as she looks at me, I'm just, okay, good girl, and we go a little bit faster. Leave it. Good girl, okay, good girl. See, that was perfect. Good girl. And I'll take it away. But yeah, when I do it for like dead things on the road, then you can quickly move past it, and it's not this continued object right in the middle of the floor like this. So, but that concludes our main obedience commands portion. Now we're going to talk just briefly about her crate training, and then we'll go into her house training. And where it's a little bit more talking, I'm going to give her this to chew on. She'll take it to her bed. So, with her crate training, so we spend a ton of time on the crate, making sure that she's comfortable in the crate, she's not going to have accidents, and she's not going to whine uncontrollably. And she's been doing awesome with crate. However, this transition period does put a lot of stress on dogs, and it does make them have to go to the bathroom more frequently. They're going to get a loose stool, and so you have to really make sure that you stay on top of this behavior so that it doesn't slip. Right now, she's been sleeping through the night for the last couple weeks without having any accidents, without needing any breaks. And we've been putting her to bed about 10, and then we get her out around 6. And so she's been doing great for that 8-hour period. During the day, we've been up, I think, about 3 or 4. Let's see, find her. So yeah, between 3 and 4 hours during the day, without needing a break, just doing great. So we don't want her to backslide in this aspect. So when she gets home, the first night or two, because of that stressful transition, if she does start to whine, she may just need a quick break. Hook her on a leash, take her out to the bathroom, and bring her right back in. Don't let her get out and play, anything like that. It's just go to the bathroom. For me personally, I don't even like to let them get to the point where they're going to whine. So the first couple nights, I'll just set an alarm and let her out, around like 1 or 2. Just give her that break, just in case that's building up. And that way she doesn't whine and she doesn't have any accidents. So also just determine during these next 2 weeks what her whining is about. She starts whining in the crate. So if it's been, a couple hours or even 30, 45 minutes, that could be that she needs to go to the bathroom. And so then I would tell her hush, wait for her to quiet down, then I would let her out, give her a break, and then put her back in. Now, if you immediately put her in, close the door, and she starts whining, that I'm going to ignore. She knows that she's not allowed to whine here, or if she does, she's going to get completely ignored. And usually, if she does, when she was still whining a little bit, it might be for like a minute or 2, and then she'll just go to sleep. If she's really whining, I might help her relax. So I'll give her something like a bully stick or a marrow bone in there just to help her calm down. Or I might even throw a blanket over the crate, because dogs do like it more den-like. They like it dark. So those are things that you can do to help her relax if she does seem stressed out. If that's going to happen, that whining initially, it's going to happen in the first couple days. And that's more so because she is stressed out. She's starting to feel some comfort or some trust in you. And then you put her in the crate and she's like, no, wait, I want to be in here. I want to be with you. And if you let her out, then you're just going to build that behavior to where she whines all the time because she thinks she can get out if she whines. The other thing is make sure you do put her in the crate some when you're home, not just when you leave. If you do it just when you guys leave to run errands or whatever it is, she starts to understand that, oh, if I go in the crate, they're abandoning me, and so then she'll either whine even more or she'll turn and run the other direction. So that's also why when I do the crate command, I keep it really positive. I'll send her in like 3 or 4 times, or just randomly throughout the day. I walk past the crate, send them in, so that I really build that command to where it's fun and enjoyable, and it's not always to be locked up. Otherwise, she'll get that too, that as soon as you tell her crate, she's like, oh, they're going to lock me up, I'm going to turn around the other way. So just kind of protecting that command as well as this behavior. Like I said, she's done phenomenal with it. I haven't had any issues, so I don't expect that you will. The other thing is, she's going on this long flight. She could have an accident. That's why I'm going to put a blanket in there, hopefully absorb a lot of it. Hopefully she won't have a number 2 accident. But if she does, get her cleaned off, and then make sure you clean out the crate. You don't want any poop left in there because smell is a big driving factor for these guys. So once again, hopefully she won't have any accidents. I'm going to make sure that we feed her early and get her lots of time to go to the bathroom. But if she does have an accident, you don't want that to spiral out of control, so get her cleaned up and then make sure that you keep it positive. The other thing with the crate, fairly obvious, but I do like to make a note of it, that you cannot put a wound up dog in a crate and expect it to go well, or a dog that hasn't had an opportunity to go to the bathroom in the crate and expect it to go well. Give her an opportunity to go to the bathroom before you put her in the crate. Also, if it's first thing in the morning or right before bed, understand that she's going to have a lot of energy, and so she needs to get rid of that energy before she goes to bed. Otherwise, she's going to be just super wound up in the crate. Okay. With that now, we'll go into her house training. So, when I think you guys got Charlie, we were still using a food lure very heavily. I would put like peanut butter or bacon grease on the bell, and I would wait for them to seek it out. Since then, I've changed a little bit to a process called free shaping. Sit. Good girl. And basically what that is I like to do it a lot quicker, and I'm allowing her to teach herself what gets my attention. And so when I do this, I'm going to slide these bells off. We start off with targeting the bells. So where she's sitting here, I'm going to take a handful. Okay, good girl. A handful of treats, break them up small, and I'm just waiting. Okay, good girl. I'm letting her touch them. Okay, good girl. And I'm rewarding her every time that she does. Okay, and you can see she understands what's going on here. We did this with her twice. And so this targeting, like I said, is just getting her excited about the bells, and it's going to give you an opportunity for a lot of repetitions and to stay completely ahead of her schedule. And so when you start out, just hang them on your wrist. You can see she's real excited about it. And she's been doing awesome with her house training these last couple weeks. So now, once I do it on my wrist, I'm going to put them on the door. Okay, good girl. And I'm going to change my wording just a little bit. I'm going to hang on to her. Okay, outside, good girl. I'm going to emphasize the word outside. Okay, outside, good girl. And I'm going to do this like 4 times. Okay, outside, good girl. So this one we're going out. Okay, outside, good girl. Oh, wait. Okay. Okay. Oh, you can cancel one. Good girl. Now, if I'm doing this at your house, even though she just went to the bathroom the last 2 times, she went 1 and 2, I would turn around and have her ring them again, reward her a couple times, go right back out. And I do that like 4 or 5 times. The point here is to get a lot of repetitions of her seeing where the bells are at, ringing them, and going out to the area where you want her to go to the bathroom. So, on the wrist, you just need to do that once. Reward her like 5 or 6 times, go to the door, have her ring them like 4 or 5 times, reward her every time she rings it, take her out, do that like 4 or 5 times right in a row. And then, for the next 24 to 48 hours, every 30 minutes I would take her to the bells, let her ring them, reward her, go outside, give her an opportunity to go to the bathroom. When she goes, be super positive. Okay, good outside, good girl, good girl. And reward her very heavily, make sure that she understands that is the right behavior. And then you come right back in. There's absolutely no playing when she rings the bells. It's just to go to the bathroom. Every 30 minutes, take her over. After the initial 24 to 48 hours, I would start to lengthen the time. So the next day, go to 45 minutes or to an hour. I would stay at an hour for maybe a day or 2. But I wouldn't reward her for just ringing the bells at that point. After those first 2-3 days, I would reward her when she goes to the bathroom, and that's it. If she doesn't go, we just come right back inside. Once again, no playing, no reward, no nothing. Then slowly build that back up to 2 hours. So 2 hours is our standard. No puppy can leave here unless they're going to hold them, unless they can hold themselves and not have accidents for at least 2 hours in the house. I know that she can go a lot longer than that, but for the next 2 to 4 weeks, I would not let her, because I want to spend as much time and as much repetitions as going outside and having her ring the bells and go to the bathroom as I can in this initial 2 to 4 weeks. And that way, I'm ahead of her schedule, and she never has an opportunity to have an accident. That's the goal. Because in a new place, you can expect that there's always a little bit of regression. Here. No. And I want to make sure that I avoid that regression, and instead I can really stay ahead of that schedule, stay ahead of that stress, that she never has an accident. So the big thing here though, 100% supervision. You have to give her that supervision. If you cannot, put her in a crate. She'll be fine for a couple hours. Put her outside if you have an outdoor kennel, anything like that. But if she's in the house, she is 100% supervised by someone that is responsible. If you think about it, how easy or how fast does a dog go to the bathroom? It takes them like 2 seconds. So it's super easy for them just to basically round the corner, have an accident, come back, and you don't even know. And if you find it later, there's absolutely nothing you can do. So 100% supervision prevents that from happening. That's that management we talked about. But say that you are supervising her, she's on a leash or she's right next to you and she starts to pee. What do we do then? So this is a really unique opportunity that most people hate, but it's also a pretty important opportunity for your reaction. This is the one time I want to startle my dog. I will, no, clap, anything like that, stomp, and I just want her to stop peeing. I'm going to grab her and rush her outside. The goal is, you stop her midstream, she finishes outside. If she finishes outside, then I change my attitude. Okay, good girl, good outside. And so now you've just painted a black and white picture here. She just got reprimanded for peeing in the house, but then she got rewarded for peeing outside. And so they start to, that really helps them understand, like, oh, okay, negative here, positive here, I'm going to choose the positive. So If you do have any questions about the house training, don't hesitate. Give me a call, send me an email, text, whatever it is. I want to make sure that this transition is as smooth as possible. And if there are little hiccups, it's so much easier to take care of them right away than, 3 or 4 weeks down the road, and then you guys are upset because maybe she's having issues when it could be just a simple fix that we can just talk on the phone and resolve. I don't think you'll have any issues. Like I said, she's been doing really good. She had that one little hiccup when we dumped all that snow and she didn't really want to go outside to pee. Now she's completely switched to where she loves to play in the snow, and for some reason she has to pee and poop on the snowbank instead of the place that we've cleared. So, funny little quirk. She's always up on the snowbank to go to the bathroom. Anyway, also just look for other signs that she does need to go. She's sniffing real heavily, pacing back and forth, whining. Those are all signs that they could have to go to the bathroom. And also look for opportunities that you know that she has to go, where you can work on the bells, get a good solid repetition in within an hour after eating and drinking, right as she comes out of the crate in the morning or after being in there for a couple hours. Those are times that you know she's going to have to go to the bathroom, and so I just immediately take her by the leash, walk her over, have her ring the bell, and we go outside. Now, also, her routine is going to help out, know when she needs to go to the bathroom. So we've been feeding her about 6:30 or 7 in the morning and 6 p.m. The evening one is the real important one, because I like to give her a good 4 hours to clear her system, to run and play, whatever it is, before she goes in the crate. That way, just everything can be emptied. And then with the water, I like to control her water for the first, week or two, or, until you feel confident in her transition. And so I'll give her water with her meals, and then like 3 or 4 other times throughout the day. If she's outside, I give her unlimited access. But the reason for that is she's already going to have to go to the bathroom more frequently, and so you don't want her to swallow a whole bunch of water and then have to go even more. So, the other thing is I'm going to send you with a cheap leash that she can drag around. Of course, you don't want her to sit there and chew on it. That's why I gave her that bully stick. But that way, if you do need to just quickly grab her, you can get her out the door and make sure that she doesn't have an accident or stop her from doing something that she shouldn't. I believe that's everything with the house training. Please let me know if you do have any questions. But right now we are going to go into her leash walk, or just her leash work. We take them on 2 different types of walks. The first one is an off leash or a long lead walk. Until I know that she's going to come back every time when called, I keep her on the long lead. Especially if we're somewhere where she could get into a road or start chasing a deer, anything like that. I want to make sure that I properly manage that right off the get-go. So keep her on that lead, really work on that come command like I talked about. Every couple of minutes, call her to come, give her a treat, let her go again. Just to really keep that positive, keep her checking in and close. Once she's doing really well with that, you can take her off leash. She loves to run and swim and play, so off leash walks are great. Very good for their mental health. We try and give them one at least once a week. Usually they get multiple, just because we have so much room to run here. And the second type of walk is our attention walk. So I want her by my side with a loose leash. I'm not applying pressure at this point, or really, really strict. I want it to be happy. And so I don't care if she's a step ahead of me, but she is absolutely not allowed to pull, and that leash has to be loose. I also want her keeping an eye on me, not getting overly distracted by everything around. When we do that type of walk, we say let's go to move, or if we're making corners, if she starts to pull, I stop till it's easy, give her 2 pops on the leash. She is not allowed to progress forward if she is pulling. If she starts pulling, I stop, give her the pops, and she doesn't turn around and put that slack back in the leash, I don't move forward. Instead, I'd pop her twice again, tell her let's go, and I'd walk the other direction. And I would do this very quick, so that she doesn't have time to lollygag or to pull another way. As soon as she regains composure, I turn, start walking back towards whatever's distracting her. And I do this back and forth really fast. I'm not trying to yank her around, but it's alright if she kind of gets popped or dragged a little bit, because you're teaching her that, hey, if I don't want to get popped, I got to keep an eye on him, and I'm going to walk swiftly with him. So, great little exercise. But we're going to go outside, and I'll show you that walk. Let's go. Okay, good girl. Good girl. I stop. I want her to stop. When I start this walk, I also put her in a sit, just to make sure that I have her attention. And okay, let's go. go. Good girl. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Good girl. Good girl. Let's go. Good girl. Good girl. Let's go. Now, she has a great walk. I will use a little bit of leash pressure if she's walking in front of me. I want her back, because sometimes she'll walk sideways trying to stare at me. The other thing, if she's walking into me or too far out, I can use that leash, just applying a little bit of pressure, keeping her side to side. Good girl. And then the other thing I'll mention is, with the leash walk, you don't want to start this too soon. You really need to develop a relationship with her so that you don't come into a situation where she doesn't have any trust in you, and so she feels like she has to act out. That could be with a strange dog approaching, a strange person. If they don't have this trust yet, if they don't see you as a leader, they can get a little bit nervous, and that's when they can display some of this kind of aggression or barking, and you don't want to set that off. You want to make sure that you can start slow and develop this relationship. And so when I first start working on the walks with a new dog, I do it where there's like no distractions. Bare roadway, no dogs out, or just odd times during the day when nobody's going to be out. That way we can also keep it short, and I can really start to build this walk up, build this relationship. So if you do have any questions, don't hesitate, let me know. We've really loved Willow here, and we're excited to send her to you. So thanks, we'll talk to you soon. Let's go.